because I think your wines also are very elegant. I think you used this word a couple of times as well about the wines. What is it for you the most important thing if you make a Chateau Musar, or if you make with your brother a Chateau Musar? What should it be representing to you? What emotions or what thoughts or what philosophy?
Well, it's a good question. It's very broad, but I think what we want in our wines is to have probably the best possible representation of life. Life in all the good, and also, you know, sometimes the bad, because, you know, life is not always good. I mean, it goes through cycles. And what we look for in our wines is this ability of a wine to surprise you, to find things that were there. Maybe you find, you know, after 10, 15, 20 minutes, or 2 or 3 days, or, you know, after you open the bottle, or a few years later, you find things in the wines that you don't find today. And the idea is that you want to have a wine that has life, therefore that is dynamic, and that has this ability to, you know, to surprise you. Now, surprise should also be linked. You know, surprise is one thing, which is this life component that I'm talking about. The other thing that we look for is, you know, as you said, is always elegance, and elegance is a very personal, I guess, aspect. And then, you know, what I consider elegant might be very different from what you consider elegant, or what, you know, another drinker might consider elegant, or another viewer, or, you know, anybody who's just not only tasting wines. But elegance is a very personal assessment, and it's linked to what you think is refined, is more subtle, is not too bland, and not too rustic, and so we look for that in our wines. And I guess this is the beauty of what I guess my father managed to create in the 17 years where he figured out how to make our Chateau Musar red, you know, between the 1959 and until 1977. This is how long it took him really to figure out his style, his formula, his process as to how to make the wines. And the idea was to create those wines that are elegant. I call them, as they get older, I call them also ethereal wines, basically, or epiphany wines. These are wines where you take a bottle, you taste it, you see how it evolves over 1, 2, 3 hours, and then, you know, especially older vintages, and then you realize, okay, there's something a bit special about this wine, because it's almost like you get into a meditative state where you smell things, you feel things, you just are connected with the environment around you. It doesn't happen with every bottle, of course, but, you know, sometimes you're just in the right setting, in the right circumstances, in the right mood, with the right bottle. And when that happens, all of a sudden, yeah, it's almost like a state. And you know, we're lucky that we've had, you know, I've met a few people throughout the last 10, 15 years that I've been working with my family who had their epiphany bottle of Chateau Musar. And it's that bottle that, you know, usually led them either to change their path in terms of careers, or to discover a completely new aspect of wine. Or people who tell me, you know, once I've had my first bottle, then, you know, a third of my cellar is now Musar, because it has something special that, you know, other bottles don't have. I'm sure other wineries also can have that. It's just, you know, one person finds one thing in his life at one point that he likes, and then we're lucky enough to have, I think, a style of wine and a signature linked to our winery, and also our terroir, that makes it a bit special.
Yeah. I guess my wife is one of those people, because just after she tasted the first Chateau Musar white, she said, I'm gonna be a Chateau Musar collector. So you convinced her for sure.